Let the house please be in order. Stand as we are led in prayer this afternoon. The gentlelady from Pontotoc, Representative Waldo, will introduce our guest minister.
It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you Brother Jake Kimmett and his wife Lindsay. They're from Pontotoc County by Faith Baptist Church. They have 4 little boys, 3 and under, and they sacrifice 6 hours driving time round trip to come be with us today. So at this time, help me make welcome Brother Jake, and then join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Lord, we come before you this afternoon, and Lord, we're humbled, and Lord, we're just reminded that although we are gathered here today to do the business of government, Lord, to make sure that we make wise decisions on behalf of the people that we represent, Lord, we're just reminded that ultimately we submit to a higher authority. Lord, ultimately you are the one that decrees. You are the one that decides. Lord, you are the one that decries what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is evil. So Lord, help us keep that humble spirit in our hearts and in our minds as we make decisions, as we take votes, as we try to do the right thing. Just remind us that although we might be in government, Lord, you are the head of all government. Lord, although we might be gathered in this room, you are watching above us from heaven. Lord, just help remind us that it is your Son, Jesus Christ, who is supposed to be the Lord and leader of all of our lives. And Lord, we know that if we submit to your will, if we do what is right by you, Lord, your word says that you'll bless us. And Lord, not just as us individuals, but you'll bless our families, our communities, our counties, our state, our nation. So Lord, help us keep that in mind. Help us keep that in the forefront of everything that we do. Lord, your word says that if we pray and ask for wisdom, that Lord, you will give us wisdom. So Lord, we ask for wisdom today as we gather to get together. Lord, we love you and we praise you. In your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have y'all here. Come back and see us anytime. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk.
There is a quorum present, Mr. Speaker.
We will have the reading of the journal. Gentleman from Rankin, Representative Powell, moves we dispense with the reading of the journal. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Report of select committees.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Report of standing committees.
We have reports on the calendar, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of bills and constitutional amendments. Gentleman from Marion, Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the reading of the introductions.
Is there objection to this? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, we will follow that procedure. Resolutions, petitions, memorials, and other papers.
We have none, Mr. Speaker.
Introduction of guests and visitors. All right, I don't see anyone seeking recognition. I believe we have a special guest. I'd recognize the chairman of rules at the well, and I would ask our sergeant at arms to bring in our special guest. If y'all would, find your seats for our special guest.
Got a lot on my mind.
Y'all give the gentleman from Rankin your attention at the well. I recognize the gentleman from Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are recognizing and honoring the Stennis Space Center Senior Leadership Team on the occasion of the Stennis Space Center Capitol Day. The leadership members are John Bailey, the Acting Center Director, and then we have Mark Vandehei, who is a real live astronaut, which is awesome. And then we have Rodney McKillop and Ken Newton. So let's all give them a round of applause, please.
Thank you. And we are going to have Mark High speak for just a second and tell us a little bit.
Thank you all for inviting me here today. I know you have lots of work to do, so I'm going to get right to it. Humanity is about to embark on a great new era of human space exploration. We are going to send people around the moon on the Artemis program as early as September of 2025, and as a stepping stone to Mars, as early as September of 2026, put boots back on the moon. It's an exciting time in human exploration, and all of the work involved has depended and will continue to depend on work done here in Mississippi at NASA Stennis. The people at NASA Stennis tested all of the rockets that were essential to getting Artemis 1 to successfully go around the moon and back at the end of 2022. They've already built the rockets for the missions Artemis 2, 3, and 4, and will continue to certify the production of rockets for future missions to the moon and beyond. You should be very proud of the contributions you've made and the people you represent in Mississippi helping to power this next era of America's space history. By doing so, we will inspire the Artemis generation to write the next chapter in America's space history, and in doing so, we will convince our youth to be even more motivated to gain a deeper understanding of the universe and our place in it. So thank you for all the contributions you've made, all the support you've given us that have gotten us to where we are now. Thank you for your future support that is going to give so much to this great state and beyond. And thank you for letting me talk to you all today.
Still working on that book.
All right, we'll go to the calendar. Motion to reconsider calendar. Rules calendar. Recognize the Chairman of Rules.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just got a couple of items I'd like to call up. I've got item number 6, item 13, item 14, and 15. I want to call those up.
Gentleman has requested to call up items 6, 13, 14, and 15 in a block. I'll give y'all a second to look over those.
Okay.
Hearing no objection, gentlemen, you're recognized to explain the resolution.
That's my explanation of the resolutions.
I don't see any questions. If you favor the resolutions, indicate by saying aye. If you're opposed, no. The ayes have it. The resolutions are adopted. Anything further, gentlemen?
No, thank you.
Appropriations. Ways and Means. Lady from Forest, Ms. McGee, for what purpose?
Introduction, Mr. Speaker.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, it is my pleasure to welcome back, he just cannot get enough of us, our doctor of the day, Dr. John Godet of Hattiesburg. He is a pediatrician, but he is on faculty at William Carey University's med school. And again, he has brought 2 different medical students with him today, Eric Warren and Marissa Arakawa. Eric's a 4th year, Marissa is a 2nd year. We are so happy to have you. We hope that you will stay in Mississippi and practice medicine right here because we need you guys. So let's welcome them to the Capitol.
Thank you, Doc, for being with us. Chairman of Ways and Means, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're going to work the Ways and Means calendar. We'll just start at item 1, House Bill 155. Call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the 3rd time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
This bill is just simply adding municipal natural gas facilities to our local government's capital improvements revolving loan program. That's an explanation.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 116 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item 2, House Bill 319. I'd call the bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the 3rd time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
This bill is just simply one of our tag bills. We'll keep this bill alive. Well, I have a couple of these, actually. This is one of them, in case anybody needs to tag onto it. No pun intended, but it'll be alive for the remainder of the session. That's what this is, just a tag bill.
Questions on this bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
I'd move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 116 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item 3, House Bill 624. We do have a committee sub on that bill.
Gentleman calls that bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the 3rd time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The gentleman is asking for the committee sub for consideration, to be adopted for consideration in lieu of the original bill. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
Mr. Speaker, would you recognize the gentleman from TIPA to handle the bill?
Gentleman from TIPA, Vice Chairman, is recognized to explain the committee sub.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker. We have before us today, which is called the short line tax credit we had before us 2 years ago. We put a 2-year repealer in it a couple of years ago, just mainly to see if this tax credit would be utilized. In the very short 2-year period, we've had, it caps out at $8 million annually, and the short rails, which for y'all new members, short rails typically called a Class 3, and mainly in rural areas in Mississippi, it's cost $13 million in tax credits, and these railroads have spent $42 million in capital investment for our upgrading their short tracks. So I'll entertain any questions.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 117 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We go to item 4, House Bill 733. Call the bill up, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. All those no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
We do have a committee sub that needs to be adopted.
Gentleman moves to adopt the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. Those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
Thank you. This, ladies and gentlemen, this bill is a bill that's been a House position for years. This is dealing with the Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund and the way we fund it. We got this enacted a couple years ago, and the Senate would not agree to a diversion on this. This is the much preferred way to fund this trust fund. That's the way most states do it across the country. It's money they can count on. So the trust is not subject to annual appropriation. However, that's the way, in order to get it enacted, that's the way we've been funding it. And so this would simply just replace the existing $15 million appropriation with a diversion of that same amount.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
I'd move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 119 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item 5, House Bill 776. I'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill.
I'd ask that we recognize the gentleman from Jackson, Mr. Alcohol, to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Jackson, Chairman of State Affairs and most temperance subcommittees.
Thank you, Mr.
You're recognized,
Speaker.
gentlemen.
I don't know about thanking the chairman, but anyways, ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is the annual qualified resort bill that we take up every year. This is the one that's going to be the vehicle. We're taking the gentleman from Lee's bill as the primary bill number and the vehicle. I think we have roughly maybe 5 or 6 other requests. As the process moves on, we'll include those into this bill and hopefully pass all of them. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Covington, Mr. Sanford. He passes.
Final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 106 yeas, 6 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item 6, House Bill 822. I would call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
This bill simply clarifies the existing statutory law regarding the appellate process in the CCID inferior court to be that similar to municipal courts. That's all it does.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any questions, gentlemen. He moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 106 yeas, 9 nays, the bill passes. Next item, excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Gentleman from Covington, Mr. Sanford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery, I want y'all to help make welcome my friend, Covington County Superintendent of Education, Ms. Babette Duty.
You're recognized, Mr. Chairman, for the next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item 7, House Bill 893. I would call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized, gentlemen.
This is simply our second tag bill that we keep alive, just like the last one. That's all it is.
Questions on this bill? Don't see any. You move final passage, gentlemen?
Do. Yes, sir.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
Item 8, House Bill 1003. I'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask that we recognize a gentleman from Tishomingo to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Tishomingo is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House. So this bill is fixing a wrong, I guess you would call, that we did last year. We had a bill last year that would allow a disabled veteran 70% and over to go file homestead at any time of the year. That caused some problems for our audit. It caused some problems for our tax assessors. So what we're going to do is just go back to the normal January 1st through April 1, that a veteran 70% or disabled can file homestead any time during that time, and everyone's happy with that. The Veterans Administration checked off, our tax assessors have checked off on it, and our state auditors checked off on it. So well, that's the explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker. I'll yield for questions.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
We're at item 9, House Bill 1286. I'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, can we recognize the gentleman from Tippa, please, to handle the bill?
Gentleman from Tippa is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, House Bill 1286 is a legislation that would involve only fleet vehicles in our state, and a fleet is considered a company that has over 200 vehicles in their fleet. It will allow them to transfer tags over to a different vehicle and renew these tags only one time a year. There is a fee. The Department of Revenue would get $5 per tag for this. Benefits to our states, buying less tags, less labor issuing, and that's a brief explanation of the bill. I'll entertain any questions.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 119 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill, the next one is item 10, House Bill 1354. I'd call that bill up, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I see you've got a committee sub there.
I do have a committee sub, Mr. Speaker. I'd move that we call that up.
Gentleman moves to adopt the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, say aye. If you're opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
At this time, Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment to the committee sub, a cleanup language amendment.
You want to explain your amendment?
Yes, the amendment just, there was some language that was added in this part of the committee sub that was a little bit confusing with the existing contract regarding the duties of DOR to oversee the warehouse, and this just deletes that language and clears that up.
Questions on Amendment 1? I don't see any, gentlemen. If you favor the amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendment's adopted.
Okay. I'll explain the committee substitute now. What this bill does, those of you that were here 2 years ago in the last term, y'all remember the House passed several different measures over the course of the last 4 years. The most recent of which was 2 years ago, in which we had a compromise agreement with the Senate that would allow DOR to contract out the operations of the ABC warehouse. It also authorized $55 million in revenue bonds to be paid back with a bailment fee of $1 to build a new warehouse. That was 2 years ago, and very little has happened on that front in the meantime. And so what this bill would do would be say we're just going to go ahead and follow the intent that this body has already stated and construct a new ABC warehouse in the approximate geographic center of the state of Mississippi, being in Holmes County, where there's already a site that is selected and a site that is ready to be built on, adjacent to I-55, and I believe it's the Highway 12. Speaker can correct me if that's wrong. Highway in Holmes County, right adjacent to the interstate exchange. Great place for a liquor warehouse in the center of the state. And so that's what the bill does. It said that a contract shall be let on the construction by September 1 of this year, so it gives them time to get it going, and it just forces DOR and the contractor to move forward with what this body has already said we're going to do. In addition, it does increase the authority on the revenue bond to $95 million. There's been some complaints, which I find hard to believe, that you can't build a warehouse for $55 million, but nonetheless, they've asked for it, and it's being paid for by the bailment fee, so that authority is increased to 95 in the bill, and that's an explanation.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Washington, Mr. Hines.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman, yield.
Yes, sir.
Is this location west of I-55?
You look at the line, you can see it actually declares it in the bill to be west of I-55.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm proud of it.
Yes, sir.
Lady from Hines, Ms. Yates.
Thank you. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Have we given any additional thought to just simply completely privatizing all of this?
Well, this body actually passed that bill a couple different times, but we have met stiff opposition in the Senate. And this current scheme was a compromise from that a few years ago. So,
right.
But it hadn't worked so far, and we're trying to force their hand, so to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any further questions, gentlemen. I'm sorry, gentleman from Rankin, Mr. Newman.
Gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Will you yield? Since this has not worked, wouldn't it be a better idea just to dump that idea and go back to what the lady from Hines referred to, and let's go privatize it?
Gentlemen, I anticipate we're going to have further discussions with the Senate in this realm over the next several weeks. We'll certainly discuss that, but the Senate has made it very clear. We've sent that to them several times, and they've rejected it. I have not gotten word that they have changed their tune on that. So this is the bill that's before the House. However, I don't disagree with you that it should be privatized. But
for the record, you know that I always vote against everything on alcohol. You get it to where we privatize this, and I'll vote yes.
Y'all heard the gentleman.
All right, I don't see any further questions. Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 107 yeas, 6 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item 11 House Bill 1359. I'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask that we recognize the gentleman from Lee to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Lee is recognized to explain the bill.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. So House Bill 1359, this bill is some clarifying language brought to us by our bankers. And what this bill does, it clarifies some of the bond of information that they can do. Right now, we are going to allow them to do serial bonds as well as single term bonds. For example, if they have a 10-year bond deal, so before they would have to issue 10 single-term bonds, and this will allow them to do just one big bond instead of 10 separate bonds. So that's explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any. Gentleman.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
The next item is item 12, House Bill 1378. We'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized.
I'd ask that we recognize the gentleman from Tishomingo again to handle the bill.
Gentleman from Tishomingo, you're recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the House. For the veterans in here, you remember your first bill that came to the well. You were nervous about it passing. There's a lady brought a bill to us this year, her very first bill that she authored, and I think it's a very respectable bill. If you will look on line 128 through lines 133, it basically says a man in DeSoto County has reached the age of 90 years old, and he is a veteran, combat veteran of the World War II. So at this time, we would like to make his taxes, ad valorem taxes, go away at the age of 90, and you're a 70% or greater combat veteran. Well, that's the explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker, and I'll yield for any questions.
Gentleman from Leek, Mr. Holloway, for what purpose?
Have the introduction at the correct time.
Okay, questions on the bill? I don't see any questions. You move final passage, gentleman?
I move final passage, Mr.
Gentleman
Speaker.
moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. I vote 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Gentleman from Leek, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, Mr. Speaker, I want you to welcome in the South Gallery Team Advisory Council for the Mississippi Coalition Against Domestic Violence under the supervisor of A.J. Birch, Training and Prevention Specialist.
Welcome to you all. You're recognized, Mr. Chairman, for your next item.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Item 13, House Bill 1579. We'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill.
This bill just simply cleans up the Business Improvement District Act and states that instead of the reimbursements that come back to the districts having to go through the cities before they get to the district, they will go instead directly from the tax assessor's office to the district. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
He moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, We go to item 14, 1589, and call that bill up, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
We do have a committee substitute.
Gentleman moves to adopt the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you're in favor, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
Ladies and gentlemen, this bill comes to us as a somewhat of a compromise. For many years, there's been a healthy debate, little consternation, maybe is the best way to say that, between our steel, metal, scrap business and our used car or lien holder, those who finance cars, and really dealing around how do we make sure that the vehicles that show up at the scrap yard are, number one, not stolen, and number two, don't have a lien on those. This bill comes as a compromise that we've worked with both of the parties, and what this bill would do would require the Department of Revenue, and it's probably long past due, but it would finally require the Department of Revenue to have a universal electronic lien registry of titles and liens on vehicles. And before a car may be scrapped, the scrap yard, the metal processors, they would have to check the registry on one hand, and on the other hand, it would require lien holders to record their liens in the DOR registry and then timely release those within 10 days of final payment being made on the note. And that's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, Mr. Chairman.
I would move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. I vote 120 yeas, 0 nays. The bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item 15, House Bill 1620. We'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill.
House Bill 1620 is just simply cleanup language dealing with our use tax diversion for cities and counties. Although I think there's some debate around this language, we're just passing this bill to make sure that there's no confusion and that the cities and counties, if they spend the money in their road department by way of salaries for employees that work in the road department, that they actually get credit for those expenditures as it relates to the amount of use tax funds and the qualification for the use tax diversions that they can get. There has been some talk about whether the language was confusing or conflicting or not, and so we're just clarifying that for the cities and the counties.
Questions on the bill? Lady from Hines, Ms. Yates.
Gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm confused. Can you just clarify, are we clarifying the language to make sure that they can or cannot use this for salaries?
It's a confusing issue, lady, but that's not what this does. No, we're not saying they can use the use tax money for salaries. You remember, well, back in 2018, if you've looked at that statute, we put some language in the special session from 18 that said, when we created this, that basically said, we get this right, you have to at least continue to spend what you've been spending on road and infrastructure maintenance. And so there was a question as to whether the road departments, the salaries counted or did not count, or they're getting credit for that. And so that's what it deals with. You can still only spend the use tax money on the same things. It doesn't change the qualification for what you can spend the use tax money on. It just, there was basically a question as to whether or not what was being spent by way of salaries in these county road departments would count toward that amount.
That's my question, though, I guess, is are we clarifying that it does count, or are we clarifying that it does not?
It does count, because if it doesn't count, there could be a problem there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
I'd move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 119 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
House Bill 1660, which is item 16. We'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill.
So what House Bill 1660 would do would create a registry at the Department of Revenue for cigarettes and vape products. And essentially what this is trying to do is cut down on the black market sale or illicit sale of cigarettes and vape products. We've got a terrible problem in this state with what's being sold, cigarettes that are coming in, they're not registered, vape products, we don't know what's in them. And so what this would do would require a manufacturer to submit application to DOR. DOR would keep a list, and essentially if you're on the list, then you can sell the product. The product can be sold in the state. If you're not on the list, it can't. And there are reasonable time frames for applying and getting those approved. And there's also penalties for retailers or anyone who sells products that are not on the approved list. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, Mr. Chairman.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item 17, House Bill 1665. We'd call that bill up and make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill.
We have an amendment.
Gentleman has an amendment. You want to explain the amendment, gentleman?
Yes, the amendment just clarifies where it'll make more sense when I explain the bill, but where the money comes from. It's the general fund tax levy. It just adds the word general, or the fund to the word general. Just clarifying amendment. And I'll explain it more when I explain the bill.
Gentleman is going to explain the bill momentarily. Any questions on the amendment before I put it to a vote? I don't see anyone seeking recognition. If you favor Amendment 1, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment's adopted. You're recognized now to explain the bill, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So 1665 is a bill that I admit may be a work in progress, but it's an attempt to bring some revitalization to the downtown Jackson area in the Capitol Complex Improvement District. And what this bill would do would create a scheme whereby a developer could come in on a underutilized piece of property that may have a low assessed value in the county and the city. Schools may be getting a low amount of taxes off that property, and it would incentivize the developer to come in and improve it. And because on year one, it basically be a 5-year program, and on year one, when the property was improved and went on the tax rolls, whatever the increased amount of ad valorem taxation coming in on the property amount, the year one would go back to the developer for use, and the developer's is capital for the project. The developer could count on to get it. And in years 2 through 5, the increase would go to the CCID for infrastructure improvements in the district. On year 6, the increased amount would revert back to the cities and the counties, and they would be getting essentially the money from that point forward. So what the bill does, it does not hurt the city. It's really just Hinds County and the city of Jackson at this time because it only applies in the CCID. But it would hopefully encourage developers to come in, take some of these blighted properties, redevelop them, and get them back on the tax rolls in a way that does not hurt the city or the county, but also incentivizes the development. That's an explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Hinds, Mr. Crudup.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, you mentioned in this bill earlier when you were explaining it that it's trying to encourage development downtown. So I just want to make sure I'm clear that this is going to be for the downtown or all the new lines that we talked about?
The new lines, the new district.
Okay.
It could be, it qualifies anywhere in the district would qualify.
Okay. Thank you, Thank you. Good bill, gentlemen. Thank you.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman Yield.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We have talked about this bill.
Yes, sir.
In Ways and Means. Is there a way that we can reduce the amount of, I want to call it free tax, but the 6-year?
Gentlemen, as I told you in committee, I'm open to any suggestions here. I mean, what we're trying to do is give enough back to actually incentivize development. We don't have a lot of development going on right now. I think we know that. So we want to make it attractive for a developer to come in. They can use some of the money that would come back in those increased valuations in the development, and then also to the CCID for infrastructure around the development.
Right.
So if that needs to be 3 years or 7 years, I'm open to suggestions on that.
Yeah, I thank you for that. And also I want to clarify something on your behalf. This is not a scheme, am I correct?
I don't know how you define scheme, gentlemen, but yeah.
No, when you first said, you said it was a scheme. So
it's a plan. How's that better?
Yeah, it's much better.
Okay. Hopefully it's a good plan.
The other one last question for you, with respect to the downtown area. Now we have various groups within Hinds County and City of Jackson coming to the Capitol asking for funds for certain areas in the City of Jackson.
Yeah.
Which some of it includes the CCID area. My concern, even though I don't represent those areas, South and West Jackson, those areas that are not inside of the CCID. And I'm not advocating for them to be included in the CCID. I'm just asking, how will this bill, with the tax incentives, affect those areas outside of the CCID?
It wouldn't affect them at all. Not at all. This only applies inside the CCID.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Gentleman from Madison, Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, is there, and I think that this is a great idea to incentivize revitalization in the Capitol, but I'm curious to know if there's any particular reason why this revitalization effort is limited to the CCID and does not include Jackson as a whole.
I wouldn't say a particular reason other than the fact that the city hadn't asked for it. This is something that, we control to some extent. This body does, the legislature, the CCID. There's a separate board that's appointed under current law. So no reason. That's just, we've talked to some folks about the CCID and this area that's interested in it.
And so while we're on the discussion, would you accept an amendment that would expand this revitalization effort to include the greater Jackson area?
I would not at this time. I mean, you can certainly offer your amendment. You can have that right, gentlemen. But at this time, this is as I told the other gentleman, I think this is something we're looking at. It may need some tweaks. It may need some amendments or changes. And I think we need to start small. I mean, if this is something that were to help inside the CCID, I think in future years, then we can look at expanding it at the time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks.
Gentlemen, if you would yield.
Yes, sir.
I think you have a good idea. Would you agree with that?
Well, we're trying.
Well, I want to commend you for your idea. I support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, don't see any further questions, gentlemen. Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 106 yeas, 1 nay, the bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
Ways and Means yields the floor.
All right, we will move to the general calendar. I know most chairmen don't wish to take up items. Is there a chairman who wishes to take up? You're recognized, gentlemen. The gentleman will ask for unanimous consent from the body to go to his item, wherever it is. I don't know where it is. You're recognized, gentlemen.
Page 10, item 72, Mr. Speaker.
Item 72. Is that what you said?
Page 10. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to call up House Bill 1006, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls up the bill, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is just changing some language in an existing law. It's the recreational crab license, which allows a license holder to maintain 6 recreational crab traps. We're changing from household to license holder so that it can be more than one person within the household that can hold a license to have 6 recreational crab traps. The explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Wayne, Mr. Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
I sure will.
Gentlemen, did me and you ever serve together on the DMR committee?
I don't believe so. Maybe.
I was on it my first 4 years here and have not been on it since, so I don't know the makeup of that committee. Do you have any freshmen on that committee?
I do have a couple of freshmen.
I think this would have been a good bill for one of your freshman members.
Very true. He'll be here shortly.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 116 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I call up House Bill 1007. Make the usual motion.
I believe that's item 73, the next
item. 73, correct.
Yes, sir. Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All this bill does is allow an oyster operator or processor to print their own oyster tags without having to go to the DMR office. This is a Department of Marine Resources bill, and that's an explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen. You move final passage?
Final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to skip item 74.
All right. You want it to retain its place there on the calendar?
Yes, sir, please.
All right.
Move to item 75, House Bill 1279.
You make the usual motion there?
Make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I believe you've got a committee sub there, gentlemen.
I do, Mr. Speaker. I'm allowed the gentleman from Harrison to explain the committee sub and bill.
Gentleman moves to adopt the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. He's recognized to explain the committee sub. Gentleman from Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chairman. This committee sub, only thing this committee sub does is takes from the advisory committee to make it to a department, just clean up the names in that bill. That's it, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the committee sub? I don't see any. Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
No, Mr. Speaker, ready to take the bill.
You're recognized for your next bill.
Okay, this bill.
You go into item number 76, gentlemen, the next bill on the calendar.
No, sir, I didn't hear the vote on that one. I apologize. Yes, I am going to 7.
We passed your last bill. You're recognized. Okay. You're recognized for your next item.
Sorry about that, Mr. Speaker. Yes, we're going to 76, House Bill 1439. Make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the bill.
Mr. Speaker, I have a committee sub.
Gentleman moves to adopt for the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You're recognized to explain the committee sub.
Thank you, sir. In committee sub, we remove the second code section from this bill and also remove the word bottom. That is an explanation of the committee sub, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the committee sub? I don't see any. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Next item, Mr. Chairman.
Item 77, House Bill 1659. Mr. Speaker, make the usual motion.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. I believe you got a committee sub there, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, the gentleman from Jackson will explain the committee sub and bill.
Gentleman moves to adopt for consideration the committee sub in lieu of the original bill. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentleman from Jackson is recognized to explain this committee sub.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee sub, the purpose of it was just to do some conforming language on the existing code sections in the bill. What this bill does is the tidelands lands that are currently owned by the state of Mississippi, this body in the legislature has named the Secretary of State as trustee for those lands, although it has not gave him complete managing authority, or his office, I should say, complete managing authority of those tidelands. It gives it to the state or any of its political subdivisions, so we're just trying to clean up that language where he can be an effective trustee. Yield for any questions, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Move final passage.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 112 yeas, 6 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
Marine Resources, yield, Speaker.
All right, I recognize the Chairman of Agriculture next. He had asked to take up a bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item 35, House Bill 1353, call it up, make the usual motion.
If there's no objection, we'll go back to item 35. Hearing none, we will do that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to yield for the gentleman from Pearl River to explain the bill.
Gentleman makes the usual motion and calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentleman from Pearl River is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1353 comes to us from the gentleman from Neshoba. The bill will add the sport of horse racing to the list of equine activity. This is aimed to make sure that our local fairs and other sponsors of horse racing shows in the state can receive the same legal protections as the other equine activity in the state. That is a short and simple explanation of the bill, and I will gladly yield for any questions.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Move for final passage, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 117 yeas, 1 nay, the bill passes. All right. Gentleman from Jones, Chairman of Universities and Colleges, is recognized. Which item are we going to, gentlemen?
We're going to item number 42, the House Bill 418.
Is there objection to the gentleman moving to item 42? Hearing none, you're recognized, gentlemen. You make the usual motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to make the usual motions and ask the gentleman from Bolivar to present the bill.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The gentleman from Bolivar is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this bill 418 is really a great bill where it comes to make sure that the university police and all of their officers, the chief and everyone on the campuses continue to receive the continuing education courses to keep the staff and students safe. So that is very vital. You know, at this day and time, and with all the things happening on those campuses, we need to make sure that every officer knows the laws of the state of Mississippi. And that's the explanation of the bill.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen. You move final passage?
Yes, sir. I move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Y'all get the lady. Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Anything further, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. I've got one more bill. It's number 61, item number 61, and it's House Bill 1163.
Is there objection to moving to item 61? You're recognized, gentlemen. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'd like to make the usual motions and ask the gentleman from Itawamba to handle the bill.
Gentleman calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentleman from Itawamba is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill has to do with our junior colleges. It gives them an opportunity to do an interlocal agreement with some of the municipalities or the counties around them in order to facilitate some work on the campus, or in some ways, like in Northwest Junior College, they built a 3-story dorm, and the fire department didn't have a fire engine that could, be used for that dorm. They are all too small. The city stepped out and they bought a fire truck for them, and in gratitude, they want to ask that they can have an interlocal agreement with the people who help them, so that they might charge a small amount, whatever they think is necessary, on tuition to give to that project. And that way the county or the municipality or anyone that helps them would not be just carrying the burden on their own. That's my explanation.
Questions on the bill? Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, you yield?
Yes, sir.
This is not an attack on you, but seriously, you're going to charge the students who come to get an education for a fire truck that a city has the opportunity to purchase and get money from the Rural Fire Truck Fund?
That's what they're asking for, just a small amount. It's not going to be, they're talking like $5 per student. If the city has to, pay for it out of their funds? Out of their funds?
So education is already high here in the state of Mississippi. Don't go nowhere. But this small, I know it's a small amount, but still we are charging what should be a necessity, something that should be easily obtained by the cities and the junior colleges. I mean, I just don't understand why we're charging a fee to the students for this.
Well, these fire trucks are expensive.
Oh, I know, very much so. The city of Jackson has asked for a ladder truck for the last 8 years since I've been here. We've been denied. So I know.
If the junior college had not been there, then they would have not needed that in the city, and they would not have bought that. They did this to help the junior college out. I mean, it's not a, and it just gives them the discretion to do this. It doesn't say they're going to. It just gives them an opportunity.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you.
Yes.
Gentleman from Pearl River, Mr. Owen.
Thank you. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Is there I may have missed it, but is there a cap as to how much the junior college can charge each student for this provision?
There's not a cap, but they're not wanting to charge the students too much. Like he said, education's more expensive than ever. So they're not asking for a great deal, but within their realm, they'll have the knowledge of what they need to charge or what they can charge on something like this. They want to keep it low.
So the city I guess these community colleges, they are located within the municipality, is that correct?
That one is, some of them are, some are not. Some are in the counties.
Mr. Speaker, I can't hear.
Let's maintain order. Gentleman's indicating he cannot hear the presenter.
Not all of them are in the municipalities. Take Perk, for example. They're out in the county.
So that wouldn't apply to Perk? Or would
Yeah,
they
it would
be
apply
able
to Perk. This gives them to make an interlocal agreement with whoever they need to outside that helps them in something that they need, just like the city that did that for the fire engine.
Are you aware of how much money we give community colleges through this body every year?
I sure am.
So is there not a way that we can let them get into these interlocal agreements without passing the cost off to our students?
This is what the junior colleges have asked for.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Nelson, for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes.
So, one thing that we hear commonly from college students is the cost of tuition going up. And I understand that $5 per student is not a lot of money, but have the colleges considered and have the municipalities considered the economic impact that these college students are bringing to their town?
I'm sure they do. And the city did this on their own. They're looking into the future of may need something else from them. And they want to feel like they're part of the community. Most of these junior colleges, like ICC up where I live, they want to be a part of that community and assist in it as much as they can. And most of them do it without doing this, but they've asked, the junior colleges have asked for this. The senior colleges already have this in their program.
It seems like there should be a better way to get this done, because most municipalities are so happy to have colleges there because they're getting an increase in taxes from eating out, lodging, and all other things. So $5 is just minute in the grand when you look at the whole situation.
It would be, yes, but it helps the municipality or the county that helps them.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Gentleman from DeSoto, Mr. Hale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentlemen, you yield?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever had a fire truck come out to your house, gentlemen?
No.
You haven't? Well, I used to ride a fire truck for 28 years, and we never charged a single soul for a fire truck to show up at their place. So I'm having a little bit hard time understanding why you're going to charge college students. My daughter went to Ole Miss, had a fire in her dorm. Nobody charged me. So I guess that's where I'm losing whatever you're trying to put out here.
Well, this is not, I mean, this is just, it's going to be addition to the tuition. It's not going to be like if they have a fire next door or something like that, the student would be charged for it.
Yeah.
It's just a way of them being part of the community and giving back to the community which supports them.
Right. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, because of some confusion, we'd like to just lay this bill on the table subject to call.
Gentleman's motion is to lay the bill on the table subject to call the chair. Anyone wish to speak to that? All right, if you favor the gentleman's motion, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. All right, I recognize the chairman of municipalities.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to go to item 4 on today's general calendar, House Bill 564, and bring it up and make the usual motion.
Is there objection to going back to item 4? All right, I don't hear any. Gentleman makes the usual motion. He calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended, the bill considered engrossed, read the third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You recognize, gentleman, to explain the bill.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the committee substitute be adopted in lieu of the original bill.
Gentleman's motion is to adopt the committee sub for consideration in lieu of the original bill. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. You recognize to explain the committee sub.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 564 is just amending the statute already in place, 43, 35, 31. In a few of our cities, and I mean very few, it's a 4 or 5 cities in the state, we have what we call a urban renewal agency. And this just clarifies what powers that agency has, and that if a municipality, the Board of Aldermen and Mayor decide to retain some powers and not give all the powers to that agency that the municipality has when it comes to taking property or bonds or anything like that, that the municipality ultimately has the authority to make that decision and give the powers as they feel needed to that agency. And that's an explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen.
Mr. Speaker, I do have an amendment the lady from Jones offered, and I would like to offer one amendment to this bill.
You're recognized to explain the amendment.
All this amendment does is, in the addition to the urban renewal agency that may be in a city, it adds any nonprofit. So in other words, a municipality can also work with any nonprofit in that municipality the same way they would work with an urban renewal agency. And that's an explanation of the amendment.
Questions on Amendment 1? I don't see any. The question recurs on the adoption of Amendment 1. If you favor that amendment, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Anything further on the bill, gentlemen?
Mr. Speaker, I'm open for questions. If there are none, I move final passage.
Well, you hoped and your wish was granted. Gentleman from Hines, Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, just one question. Is there anything that in this bill that does with changing eminent domain process?
No, sir. No, there's no change in it whatsoever.
I don't see any further questions, gentlemen.
I move final passage, Mr.
Gentleman moves final passage. Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 118 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. Chairman of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'd like to call up item number 71, House Bill 1583, make the usual motion. And we're going to let the Vice Chair, gentleman from Tallahatchie, present the bill.
Is there objection to going to item 71? I don't hear any. Gentleman's made the usual motion. He calls the bill up, moves the rules be suspended. The bill considered engrossed, read a third time, and placed on final passage. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Gentleman from Tallahatchie is recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House. House Bill 1583 is titled the Consumer Freedom of Choice and Appliance Act. What this bill does, it streamlines it or prohibits any governmental agency from telling the consumer that they cannot buy gas appliances. However, I know each and every one of you know we have some unforeseen incidents that occur, where we have ice storms and other crazy weather around Mississippi. It has saved several people's lives after the power has gone out. It accommodates hot water heaters, stoves, generators, and everything that uses natural gas. And this bill is to protect the consumers to make sure that they're constantly able to buy those products. That's the explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker.
Questions on the bill? I don't see any, gentlemen. You move final passage?
Move final passage.
Open the machine, Madam Clerk. If you favor the bill, vote aye. If you're opposed, vote nay. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Close the machine, Madam Clerk. By a vote of 120 yeas, 0 nays, the bill passes. All right, I believe that concludes our floor work. I'll recognize Madam Clerk for announcements.
Page pictures will be immediately after adjournment.
Announcements by the members. Gentleman from Panola, Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Introduction.
You're recognized, gentlemen.
I'd like House members help me welcome my friend Mike Watkins. He is a combat veteran, and he is the executive director of the Mississippi Independent Cannabis Association.
All right, welcome, gentlemen. Good to have you here. Gentleman from Pearl River, Mr. Ladner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
On today's calendar, item number 77, House Bill 1659. I'd like to hold that bill on a motion, please.
Yes, sir. Please notify the chairman and the vice chairman. All right, I got ahead of myself. Madam Clerk's got some further announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After adjournment today, accountability, efficiency, and transparency will meet in room 103. Medicaid will meet after adjournment in room 113. State Affairs will meet after adjournment in room 402. 5 minutes after adjournment, Technology will meet in 401A. Judd A will meet 10 minutes after adjournment in room 113. Insurance will meet 30 minutes after adjournment in room 402. And Education will meet 1 hour after adjournment in 204. For tomorrow, universities and colleges will meet at 8:45 in room 204.
All right, further announcements by the members. Gentleman from DeSoto, Mr. Eubanks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, just wanted to remind you, since we will be in session on Election Day, you can vote this Saturday and next Saturday at your clerk's office from 8 to 12.
Lady from Hines, Miss Summers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like for you to ask for unanimous consent to change my vote from present to yay on 1665. Thank you.
Gentleman from Prentice, Mr. Arnold.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to adjourn in memory today of Gerald Denson Scott Sr. He was one of our U.S. postmen there in Prentice County. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. We will do that. All right, gentleman from Madison, Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also ask for unanimous consent to change my vote on HB 1665, or the CCID bill. I would like to change my vote from present to yay as well.
Is there objection? Change the gentleman's vote. All right, I don't see any further announcements. I recognize the gentleman from Rankin for the motion.
I move that the House stand adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Gentleman's motion is the House stand adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow. If you favor that, indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House stands adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.